So as a 6-year-old, I started to have an entire fit, like screaming fit, like, that's not him, that's not him, where is he? Gladiators, welcome back to another episode of GladiatorTV. I'm your host, I'm your bro, Gary Foster Jr. Last week we really had some fun. I know I did. We actually took the time to rediscover our happy place. If you haven't had a chance to see that episode, go ahead and check it out. You might get some secret tips from the Midnight Soul Kitchen. This week, I want to talk about the race. Not the color of your skin, but this race that we call life. We're on this journey, and sometimes we can be so eager to get there quickly. We want to get to the destination as quickly as possible, almost like the race of the tortoise and the hare. But we know from that story that slow and steady wins the race. This race is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Sometimes we need to give things a little more time. A little more time to grow, a little more time to heal, a little more time to develop. So I want to pay homage to some of the greats that we've lost in recent years, as well as a great in my personal life. I want to open up about my healing journey, of how I felt then, how I feel now, and how I carry them with me. And my hope is that by me being transparent about my healing journey, it will encourage you in your own. Let's get into this episode. I got the title of today's episode from the late, great Nipsey Hussle. After Nipsey's passing on March 31st, 2019, his family adopted a philosophy of the marathon continues. What I really loved about that is it speaks to how those who we've lost can continue to live on, but live on through us. When 2020 opened up, 2020 has been a very interesting and daunting year. January did not let me down in that regard when we lost the great Kobe Bean Bryant. And those who do know me very well know, aside from Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant is my favorite basketball player. Now here's a person that I didn't know personally. Here's a person that I never officially met. It was like losing a close friend. And I dealt with that too, where I felt like, how are you this affected by a person that you never ever met? However, that doesn't negate or take away their value or the space that they held in your life. What made me want to have this conversation, aside from the two greats that we just addressed, this past Sunday, July 5th, 24 years ago, my first best friend, my grandfather, Lemoyne Neal, passed away at the age of 61. I have two very specific memories from being 6 years old, experiencing death for the first time from the person that I had deemed my best friend. He would get on the floor with me, mind you, I'm a 6-year-old, and play these games that I remember to this day. One was called Don't Spill the Beans. Another game that we used to play, Don't Judge Me, was the Barney matching game. That is what we used to do. We used to play games in the floor. but he would get on the floor and play with me. And when he was no longer there, it wasn't the same. So the two memories that I have, I remember being taken to the funeral home to view his body. And I've never really told this story publicly. My family knows it, but my mother, my grandfather's daughter, my great aunt, my grandfather's sister, both escort me into the back room to view him. When I viewed the body, he had lost all of his coloring. He was a fair-skinned black man, but he was so dark that to me he was unrecognizable. So as a 6-year-old, I started to have an entire fit. Like screaming fit, like, that's not him, that's not him, where is he, show me where he is, that's not him, get me out of here, that's not him, like having an entire fit. And looking back at it, because you're 6 years old, you're not thinking about everybody else. My mother, this is her father. My great aunt, this is her brother. They have to console me in their own period of grief. That wasn't fair to them, but I'm so grateful to them. I mean, that was what I was going through at the time. I was sick. I lost my best friend. And so July 5th it's a hard day in our family sometimes, because he was such the pillar of what it means to be a good father, what it means to be a good husband, what it means to be the best grandpa in the world. We had our own little language. We never parted without closing by saying, "I love you, man." Like, that was our thing. The other memory that I have is after he died. I want to say maybe a year or two after. I was riding in the car with my dad. Dad has always been a businessman on the phone, often conducting business. And we're in the car, and for the first time I hear this song called "Changes" by the late great Tupac. As a 7, 8-year-old, let's say that, freshly dealing with grief and freshly dealing with faith. I didn't mention that I got baptized at the age of 7. So, new in faith, new in grief. There's a lyric in the song that says, "How could the devil take a brother if he's close to me?" And the chorus goes on to say, "That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. That's just the way it is. Oh yeah." And it began to strike me. Like, I just felt the weight of grief just sit on me. It's not gonna be the same. And I just started to silently sit there and weep. And my dad and I, we get to our destination. Typically how it goes is Dad gets out the car, I get out the car, and we go and do what we gotta go do. Wherever we're going, I think we were going to the grocery store. And I particularly remember Dad got out the car and I was still sitting there crying. And he had walked probably maybe 5 steps and probably reached his hand out to hold mine and realized I wasn't there. He came back to the car, and I just remember him opening up the door, and he saw that I was just sitting there, like, you know, he saw me crying, and he bent down and squatted down, and he said, "What's wrong?" And I was just like, "It's not gonna be the same. It's not gonna be the same. He's gone, he's gone, he's gone." And he just embraced me, he hugged me, and he was just like, "It's gonna be okay," you know? And that's probably one of my favorite memories of my dad, because I really needed him at that time. And to this day, it's very rare that I hear Changes by Tupac and not cry. It's very rare. You know, now, you know, almost 30 years old, I still have my days. I have less days than I did when I was younger. But I carry him with me every single day. This ring that I wear, it's his. And it's a symbol to me that he lives on through me. This is my family heirloom. And I hope to be the father, the husband that he was. And I hope to leave a legacy behind of love and admiration that I feel for him to those who come behind me. And I have found that the healthiest thing to do is to talk about those memories. The healthiest thing to do is to not fall into the trap of it's too painful to talk about. Because it's when we don't talk about them that the memories, the joy, the legacy, it dies with you. Because you're the one that keep them alive through the stories that you tell, through the memories that you share. They live in you. And in this life, it's not a sprint. We cannot just blow past grief. We have to feel. We have to allow ourselves to feel it and go through the process so that we can heal. It's not about getting there fast. The race is not given to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one that endures until the end. And I just want to encourage somebody today it's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let the healing process begin. So I hope that this encourages you to embrace your healing journey. God bless you. I love you. I'll see you next week.